16PF instrument, which is called 16PF because it's the 16 personality factors, is a very in-depth, psychometrically very sound instrument that is used. It meets all EEO requirements. It meets many of the government requirements used in the court of law. It's an instrument used to understand people in their personality makeup. I liken it to a disc on steroids. It's a very heavy, it's a very difficult test to take if you haven't taken one. But once you've taken the 200 or so questions on the 16PF, there's a lot of information one can glean from that. And there's several reports that you can run, that we run from the 16PF. One is the HRDR, which is the Human Resource Development Report, which looks at all 16 of these profiles and 16 of these personality factors and what do you look like. To understand the HRDR, one has to be fairly well clinically trained in using the 16PF. And the same thing is true of what's called the CDR, which is the career development report, excuse me. And that career CDR is also talks about the various kinds of factors, these 16 factors, and the way they manifest themselves. But to use either one of those, you have to be pretty astute at 16PF. The instrument we use most often is called the competency report, which is a new instrument. In fact, we've worked with IPAT, the owners of the 16PF, develop a unique version of this. And the competency report looks at 20 different competencies that every leader, or not every leader, that leaders need to have. And it looks at these 20, and there's a great deal of research that IPAT has done into these 20 competencies. And so it looks at competencies like your oral communication, your written communication, your vision capacity, and those kinds of things. And it looks at 20 different of those, and you'll find a list of those in a downloaded section here in this website. But it looks at all those 20 competencies, and it gives whether you are good or bad at that. It's basically a 5-point scale in there, from not acceptable to excellent in each of those 20 different competencies. But how we use the competency report is we have every role, every leadership or every role on a team has a different need for different of these competencies. And so we have a person who's going to take the competency report to first identify 6 or 8 of these competencies that they feel are the most important for this role or for themselves to do well in this role. And then they take the instrument and we compare how those 6 or 8 or 10 at the most competencies that they've identified match up with their scores. Because no one will score high on all 20. It's impossible. No one is high on all 20. And so people who try to get high on all 20 basically will fake good on the scale. And the scale has several fake tests, so we can tell whether people are trying to look better than they really are. So this is a very healthy instrument to say, okay, I have a leadership position. Here are what I would consider 6, 8 most important competencies. We give you the list, and you choose that for that role, and then you have a person take it, and you can say, is there a good match for that role? This is it's a very expensive test, but it's a very healthy test in helping understand, do the person's competencies match the role expectations? So that's the competency report based off the 16PF, and I think you'll find it very, very helpful in understanding what you are really good at.